Are you surprised by these allegations that one of your senior investigators, Cedric Nkabinde, has made to the effect that you resorted to unethical means in investigating Khomotso Phahlane?
Well, no, not surprised. We've been aware of his fraternization with elements within crime intelligence who are linked to the Phahlane Northwest hit squad unit, if I can call them that, the counter investigators, headed by General Mabula. And so we've been monitoring it for some time. But overall, if you're investigating police officers know the law. They know how to apply the law. They also know how to circumvent the law. So one can expect, if you're doing investigative oversight over police, there will be some pushback. In this particular instance, the hand of crime intelligence and the hand of Mabula and Phahlane is clear to see. And one of the protagonists on their behalf is a brigadier in crime intelligence called Tlo Khomo, who used to be a member of Ipid before. Before that, he was in crime intelligence, and before that, he was in Ipid again. During our suspension, he was brought back into Ipid, and upon our return, he left. So he's been offering, and we have evidence to that effect, positions for people to sabotage the investigation against Phahlane. He went as far as to take one of my investigators to Potchefstroom to meet with Mabula and a Brigadier Ncube, and to prepare questions for him, which an NPA prosecutor called Mashucha would then help him prepare a statement which would be incriminating against us. Fortunately, the investigator is a person of integrity and alerted us to it, so we've been monitoring it for some time. The fact that Nkabinde is disgruntled in that he didn't get a post at a more senior level than he is at present, and someone else got it, and that he's resentful about it, but that post he didn't even apply for, so he didn't really qualify to have a grievance against the present incumbent.
Well, what would the motive be in all of this? Would it be to scupper the Khomotso Phahlane case, or was it simply too late for that?
Well, it's too late for that because Phahlane is reappearing on the 7th of June for charges of corruption. Some of his co-conspirators will be added as accused in the process. There are a lot of other cases being prepared against him, in addition to the one for which he's already is an accused in. His wife, businessmen. Yeah, so it's it can't be undone. If I drop dead tomorrow, case goes on. I didn't decide to charge. Based on the evidence before the NPA, they decided to charge him and prosecute.
Nonetheless, of course, Cedric Nkabinde is accusing you of unethical conduct, so I have to put these questions to you. It would be remiss of me not to do so. Did you ever allow forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan to take over any Ipid functions in the course of this investigation?
Absolutely not, and this has been doing the rounds and it's been pushed by Phahlane. The issue is Paul O'Sullivan is not even the original complainant. He was just a catalyst where he got a complaint from Colonel Munsami from East London, and then it brought it forward. Nobody controls Ipid except Ipid. Nobody controls me except myself and my conscience. If you show me a person in the world that says they control me, I'll show you a liar.
This investigation into Khomotso Phahlane got you suspended at some stage, as you mentioned earlier. Did you in any way feel under pressure to resort to unethical means to prove that Phahlane deserved to be charged?
Well, certainly not. I mean, the evidence is quite clear. I mean, you see the merry-go-round of money and beneficiation and gratification. It's as clear as day. I mean, I think people became so accustomed to doing it over 15 years, they never ever believed they'll get caught. That other people co-opted themselves into part of what I call a collusion of interest rather than a conspiracy. It's just what happened. But all the allegations that I mentioned, and they're quite jumbled up and crooked. I mean, Cedric Nkabinde himself recommended that Phahlane be prosecuted and Mabula be prosecuted for defeating ends of justice. So he recommended it. Separate from me, I don't get involved in the intricate details of investigation. In terms of the law, I have to give strategic advice and guidance, and that's what I do. I don't get involved in investigations. Occasionally, I will ask for feedback, for updates, so that I'm au fait with it, so I can do interviews like this.
But we understand what a difficult investigation this was for Ipid, including the harassment, the death threats, the opening of false cases against your members. Could that not have driven you or any of your team members to say, let's bend the rules with this investigation?
No, it wouldn't. I mean, what has been holding us together and standing tall throughout these years that we've been under siege is the fact that we stick to the facts and we stick to the truth. And truth stands tall, but lies have short legs.
Tell me, the Minister of Police has apparently received this letter. Do you know how far back he actually got hold of it?
I'm not sure. The letter is dated 24th of April.
Okay.
I'm really surprised and concerned to know that the Minister has had this letter. I don't know for how long, but I would have expected, if there was any expectation or belief in any wrongdoing on my part, that I'd be called in, questioned and wrapped over the knuckles for it. I was not called in at all about it.
Up to now?
I've not been called in.
The Minister hasn't addressed you in any way regarding this matter?
According to Cedric, speaking to one of my senior members today in a conversation I overheard, his view was that the plot that Cedric talking now is that this will be held quietly until I start an investigation in a particular direction, and then this will be dropped as a bombshell from above to get me out of the system. So the intention was to hold back the information. That's according to Cedric. It's not, my own words.
But if that's true, it calls the police minister's reputation into question, doesn't it?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I've had a long, drawn-out battle with Nhlego before, which I won. So I'm not prepared to jump to conclusions. But I do think perhaps you should put that question to the ministry.
It's interesting. You talk about this collusion of interests, but it starts to sound like a conspiracy. Lots of high-level law enforcement officials going behind the scenes, seemingly to cook this up. It seems to me that this sounds like a huge conspiracy. Why would the main players in this case want to have cooked up a conspiracy of this nature?
Well, they have an interest in it. I mean, I've stated as early as February this year that our people have been approached by crime intelligence and other senior officers with the promise of positions and of money, and that all they had to do is scupper the investigation. I've said it twice to Scopa publicly. No one contradicted me, and we were aware of it already in February. So it's on public record what I've said. Why they would want to do it, and I said recently at the Standing Committee on Police of the NCOP, is the Joint Standing Committee, that by August, all are going according to schedule. We'll have 10 generals in the dock, and that seemed to have put the cat amongst the pigeons, and they've brought the thing forward. A parliamentary question was sent to us from one of the parliamentarians immediately after that to name the 10 generals. We've named them and we've forwarded to the ministry who the 10 generals are. So if you have 10 generals in the police service in one country being investigated for corruption, and there'll be others added all, there's other investigations also. These are the ones we've been working on and we have evidence already. You can expect pushback, and you can expect them, even if they don't like each other, to then collude or, as you say, conspire because they have an interest. Problem for them is that if you knock me out, it doesn't knock the evidence out. The evidence is there. It's before the NPA. So knock me out, if you will.
It's an interesting thing. The president is moving in a completely different direction. He is trying to restabilize these unstable government organs of security in particular. What you're saying to us, if we're to believe you, is that they're still rotten to the core, that there are still major players within policing in South Africa who are essentially criminals.
Absolutely. In fact, in Parliament recently, when this matter was raised and At the beginning of the year, in probably March or so, one of the members of parliament raised this issue, and my comments were as follows: that the biggest threat to national security is the corruption within SAPS. It is rotten to the core at very highest levels, and it's systemic, and it's the original state capture that has taken place. What has happened is that people have been promoted if to fulfill a certain role in procurement areas. So it's two areas where you have extreme corruption. One is the crime intelligence secret service fund. That is where money for informers is done. It's something like 500 million, it might be more now. Mm-hmm. The other one's at procurement. At procurement, there's massive corruption going on, billions of rand of wastage and of kickbacks. And we have evidence. It's not thumbsuck. It's not Robert McBride saying it. It's the evidence that's there, and it is before the NPA.
Do you believe that Bheki Cele is the right police minister and Kehla Sitole is the right national, or rather Bheki Cele is the right minister and Kehla Sitole is the right police commissioner to clean up the SAPS?
Well, it's not in my purview to say. The appointment of ministers is a prerogative of the president.
According to your investigations, are they honest men that we should trust to clean up the police service?
Well, I wouldn't like to fight dirty and make comments about it. I'd let developments take their course and the rule of law. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
That suggests you're in doubt about their integrity.
Well, look, I mean, I know you have to push it the point through, but I'm not really prepared to comment on that now. Let the evidence talk for itself.
What evidence is going to come to light that might contradict that?
It will be revealed, and it will be there. There's subpoenas have been served for people to come forward and provide certain evidence, and they've been holding us back for 6 months and not giving it to us. That matter has been cleared up, and now they will be compelled to go before a court and provide the evidence and the documentation we require, which could maybe clear them or implicate them. So they need to provide the evidence, or else the due process of the course will take the course here.
So are you talking about the Khomotso Patlane case here, where subpoenas have been sent out?
No, it's a bit bigger than that.
It's a bigger case.
It's snowballing, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. If I had 100 more investigators, it'll take me 10 years to get to the bottom of the rot in the SAPS.